BigSquareRotor.com. Not sure if you saw that precious metals slam today. Again, 100% computer control, can put it to zero, can put it to $1 million with the click of a mouse. They like throwing out some news. Oh, that's why the market turned around. That's why gold and silver are moving up today. Ridiculous. They click a mouse. Steve Mnuchin was head of computer market rigging at Goldman Sachs. It has been going on since the invention of computers, since the implementation of the computer programs at the Fed in the 1960s by Alan Greenspan, and moved on from there. So nothing new today. They could put the price at zero or $1 million with a click of a mouse and throw out some FUD. Plenty of FUD. But here is another example of how when congressmen come out and say cryptocurrencies are used by money launderers and drug dealers and criminals, I would like to just show you who did all the Jeffrey Epstein banking. Take a guess. Who have I been railing against for the last 20 years? JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank. The twin towers of criminality. Good article right here. Big banks enabled Jeffrey Epstein's sex crime trafficking. Remember, you can't go to your bank and take out $10,000 without filling out all kinds of forms. Jeffrey Epstein had no source of income that we know about. Nobody knows what he did. But the banks let him move millions, probably billions over time, through their wires. This is the banks, this is the Federal Reserve, and this is the SWIFT system. All of them know exactly. When you have a transaction over $10,000, they know exactly what it is. Try millions and millions of dollars. So these are not secrets. It is not a secret where Jeffrey Epstein got his money. They know. The Fed knows. Everybody knows, but the crimes were allowed up to this point. Anyway, big banks enabled Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking crimes. Unlike the unfounded narrative that cryptocurrency enables crime, big banks are more than happy to serve unsavory clients if it's lucrative enough for them. The latest example of this is a report that Jeffrey Epstein was apparently using his bank accounts to fund sex trafficking and possibly other crimes. Follow the money. The reported death of Wall Street financier and convicted sex offender, by the way, more on that later. On the Patreon, I'm talking about that. On Saturday morning in Manhattan prison cell has left a lot of questions. Among these, how exactly he funded his criminal activities, which included sex trafficking of minors to be used by the rich and powerful. One matter that is not a mystery is how Epstein funded his perversions. He used the traditional banking system with all its extensive KYC and AML regulations. The alleged suicide of Epstein shouldn't stop the legions of lawyers, bankers, and accountants that have been digging into his financial affairs in recent weeks, claims the New York Times. These include officials conducting internal reviews at the two big banks that worked with him for years, JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank. Don't forget, JP Morgan Chase was the only banker of Bernie Madoff. The only banker. Why is this bank still open? Because they are part of the crime syndicate. The employees of both these financial institutions have reportedly been going over their books in a long overdue attempt to understand how they got into business with the convicted criminal and what exactly he was using their banking services for. A person who was briefed on the Deutsche Bank internal review reportedly said, quote, "It appeared that Mr. Epstein was using his accounts for sex trafficking and possibly other illegal activity." First of all, Jeffrey Epstein, CIA, and the Mossad. Epstein was just a front man for them. Ghislaine, her father, Mossad agent. Where is she? Why isn't she arrested? All the complaints about Epstein, how'd you get there? Ghislaine. Who participated in these orgies with young underage women? Ghislaine. I don't know if that's how you say it. Ghislaine? I don't know. But apparently no one can find her. Why isn't she in jail? Of course they can find her. Probably on Kinley's Island with Epstein himself. It was suggested due to the unpalatable nature of his business. Wait, hold on. Further, here it is. According to the report, Compliance officers and other employees at both JP Morgan and Deutsche Bank had strongly advised their higher-ups to stop doing business with Epstein years before his accounts were finally closed. This was suggested not due to the inpalatable nature of his businesses, but due to the risks associated with such as hurting the bank's brand and reputation. However, former employees at both banks said that, quote, managers and executives rejected that advice and kept doing business with the lucrative client. Not managers. The boss. The board. Definitely Jamie Dimon. They were friends. I'm just saying. Deutsche Bank only recently closed Epstein's accounts. Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty and was convicted in court of law of both soliciting a prostitute and procuring a minor for prostitution back in 2008. He served 13 months in custody with work release. As part of the plea deal, where federal prosecutors had identified 36 girls as young as 14 years old who had been victimized. His case was very hard to miss due to the fact his name was tied to some of the most famous, powerful people in the world, such as Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, UK's Prince Andrew, and former Prime Minister Barack, and disgraced Hollywood star Spacey. By the way, there are dozens of others. There's a Vanity Fair article out, talks about 20 billionaires who were in his little black book and were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. This is not a little deal. This is probably more than half the money in the world was involved with Epstein. Probably they had control files on these people for having sex with minors. That was the whole idea. Anyway, it goes on. Despite all this, it's hard to see why the higher-ups at big banks didn't want to let go of his business. It's not hard to see. They had control files on them as well. It's part of the whole system. And he was not only involved with children and sex. It was money laundering. It was all kinds of bad things. While not much is known about the source of his money, that's bullshit. Every penny can be tracked within the Federal Reserve System. Every single penny. Unless he was dealing billions of dollars in physical cash. No, he wasn't. He was using Deutsche Bank. He was using JP Morgan. This scares me because I know these banks are going down, and which would give rise to people like Elizabeth Warren and the people who want to go into socialism. That would be the worst thing. Socialists fail every single time, and there's so much documented proof socialism does not work. But it is what it is. We're going to have to run with it. Whatever happens, happens. I can fight all I want. I know how public sentiment will turn anti-banker the minute these banks go down. And they should. But these bankers have nothing to do with capitalism. Nothing to do with capitalism. 100% control of our markets these days. There is no capitalism. It is a computer-controlled system run by criminals. Capitalism would have shown the guys the door years ago, decades ago. Can't wait for the perp walk. Why do you think Blythe Masters quit her lucrative job? JP Morgan Chase worked with Epstein from the late 90s to 2013, and Deutsche Bank served him from 2013 to 2019. It's crazy. Banks have a long history of enabling crime. Well, absolutely. But it goes way back, a lot longer than we know of. And the revolving door at the U.S. Treasury and Goldman Sachs. I mean, these guys, that's why I'm so adamant. The collapse has to be complete because we got to take all these guys down. Their excuse is, you can't take us down because we're too vital for the system. Yeah, they are. But the system is corrupt. The system is the problem. This system cannot go on much longer if we want freedom to rule the roost in the future. If this system does go on, you will not be free. And the crimes will still be committed. And the people who approve these crimes, the Jamie Dimons of the world, will continue to run your life until we're dead. Until we're so broke because they've created all the money at interest and we have to pay them the interest and we are screwed. Anyway, there's your current banking con, Jeffrey Epstein and the two banks that facilitated his illegal activity. Got crypto? Talk to you later.